session, we're going to cover successful group work. We'll look at the benefits of working in a group and also what some of the challenges can be. And then we'll have a brief look at the keys to successful group work. So the advantages then of group work. Well, we can share ideas. It can stimulate ideas because we have different perspectives within the group. Sometimes we can get bogged down in what our own viewpoints are, so it's great to have an outside perspective. It helps us to understand the material that we're covering more clearly because we're all working together. And we gain discussion experience. So how can we argue our point? How can we discuss the material? It's great to get that experience. Some of the challenges can be an unequal workload. So you can feel as though some members of the group are doing less than others. And often you'll experience having an unreliable group member, meaning somebody who's assigned a task, maybe for a group project, and they don't follow through on that. Sometimes there can be a lack of open dialogue, so some members of the group will be reluctant to speak up, and that can be very challenging, both for the person who finds it difficult to speak up, but also for the other members of the group. Poor listening skills as well can cause a challenge. It's really important that we all listen to each other and encourage and support each other when we're doing group work. And also members of the group can experience anxiety, possibly because they're not used to working in a group, or there can be some other issues. So what are the keys to success then? Well, the first thing you should do is to investigate the group strengths. So ask everybody what they like to do, what are they good at? Particularly if you're working on a project that's going to have a number of steps. You want to identify if somebody has a particular strength in the area. Make some ground rules. So make sure everybody is given time and space to contribute. That's really important. And everybody should contribute when you're doing group work. It might mean that you take turns so that people aren't speaking over each other, because that can be a real challenge for maybe a quieter member in the group. You need to make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak and everybody is respected when they do speak. Define what you see as unacceptable behaviour, and whether that's speaking over other people or not speaking at all. You need to decide what that is right from the beginning and decide on what those consequences will be. So right before you start any work, you've decided, okay, well, it's not going to be acceptable for people not to contribute, and it's also not going to be acceptable for somebody to try and take over the project. And if that happens, we're all going to agree that if somebody does that, we're going to go back to the course director, the module coordinator, the tutor, and discuss that this is happening. So everybody has signed off on that from the start. So if it happens, you have a clear procedure that everybody has agreed to at the beginning. So you should make sure that you set clear agendas and boundaries. So what are we going to cover in this group project? What is the agenda? How many times are we going to meet? What are the boundaries? So for example, we won't be contacting each other out of hours, so there won't be weekend contact or evening time contact, if that's what it means. That you're going to check the progress throughout. So whether that's weekly or every 10 minutes, if it's just a group discussion in class, that you need to make sure you're moving forward with whatever your task is that you've been given. And if the task can be broken down into smaller parts, you can allocate those to different people at the beginning. That's a great thing to do for a group project where maybe contact won't be as easy between the group members. Allocate roles, so somebody will chair all of the meetings, somebody will keep time to make sure everything is progressing. There will be a record keeper who writes down everything that's agreed, including decisions, and a task manager to make sure that everybody is staying on task throughout. And again, those are things that need to be assigned at the start based on what people have said are their own strengths. So remember, when you're doing group work, whether it's a short discussion in class or a broader project that you want to take part in, it's important that you always listen to the other people in the group, that you support the other group members, that you encourage everybody, and that you're really trying to collaborate. You're not trying to just work on this on your own. You need to have a collaborative approach, and that you're willing to cooperate with other team members. So you can listen to any constructive feedback that people have, and that you're really working together towards a common goal and you're supportive of each other in that. It's important that you don't set up a competitive dynamic when you're doing group work. Everybody should be working towards the same goal in a supportive environment. So in summary then, you should acknowledge that group work allows you some valuable learning experiences. So you may prefer to work on your own, but it's important that you do acknowledge that group work can be very beneficial, and it's important you get the chance to do that while you're training, while you're in college, so that when you go out to the workplace you can work in a group effectively and you do have that experience. And learning how to overcome the challenges that you might experience is very important. Ultimately, you need to work towards having respect, mutual respect with the other members in your group.